Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us today on the podcast, The Cutting Room Floor. We're going to talk about, just a lot of things that we did in the message series. We just wrapped one up called Grateful Anyway, talking about this idea of being grateful. And I'm thrilled to be here with you. My name's Clay. I am the lead pastor here. And I have with me one of our very great communicators. I'm not going to call him a doctor this time because...
I'd prefer you say resident scholar.
Resident scholar. I've got Christian with me today, and it's all good.
If I'm going to be resident scholar, am I in the picture? I got to get my pinky out with my coffee.
Oh, yeah. You gotta at least look the part.
By the way, I'm not a huge Starbucks guy. I am a Gobina fan. Gobina coffee is my favorite coffee in the whole world. Shout out. Maybe they should sponsor the podcast. But anyway, but right now it's Red Cup season, obviously. But also Starbucks released a blonde roast Christmas blend this year.
Yeah, because normally the Christmas blend's a dark roast coffee. So
yeah, I don't do any dark roast coffee ever.
Yeah, because
it's a misnomer.
Your favorite Gobina blend, which we have in the church office. That it's not in the coffee bar, but in the church office over here, where we make our own lattes and stuff. We have it's their Congo.
I call it Congo emoji. I call it Congo emoji
or something. That is actually, I was surprised. That's a light roast, and normally a light roast coffee for me, I don't, it has no flavor. I don't want it. This one has a lot of flavor.
And with Gobina, every time you buy a cup of Gobina, you are helping an orphan around the world. So yeah, it's coffee with a purpose. You know what? A lot of people don't know, Clay, is that the more you roast a coffee bean, the darker you roast it, particularly espresso, the less caffeine it has in it. So people are like, give me 4 shots of espresso. That does not have as much caffeine as a blonde roast cup of coffee. Yes.
Well, there you go.
Now you know. Hey, for all of you that remember, G.R.A.C.E, knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. I was just like, when you said that, there were 2 things, and now you know. It was like the first one that comes to mind is the end where it would go G.I. Joe, and the other one was like the NBC. The more you know. Do 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 do.
Yep.
And the little star would shoot across the sky.
Oh yeah. That and that wagon wheel guy talking about cheese. I love that.
The cheese wagon wheel.
That hankering for
got
a
hankering
hunk of
for a hunk of a hankering for a hunk of cheese. Yes.
Yeah, that had to be. I bet Jody's family that had to be in a Wisconsin family that did that. Had to be.
It would have. Man, we're going way back, because you remember all of those, and then there was I think it was Electric Company that did this one song, and they counted to the number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got all of those. Conjunction Junction.
We're dating ourselves bad. All right.
Hey, my wife, we have some app that shows a bunch of obscure channels, let's just say that. And we got it because at the time it had
obscure channels.
Well, like it had Hallmark. I know, nothing bad, people. Like,
I don't think we can say that on this podcast.
It has like shows that show Gunsmoke. That's what I mean. Like,
okay, there you go.
Like, who watches that anymore? So it's like a gajillion channels of like old programming. Okay, when I say obscure, old programming. But it had Hallmark and all the various Hallmark-esque, Great American Country, whatever, all these things. So there is an old school cartoon channel on this one, and they are now playing all of the old like Hanna-Barbera Christmas cartoons.
Yes.
So we have like we watched the Yogi Bear Christmas. My daughter was sitting watching, and there's this chicken place. A bit of a story here. There's a chicken place in Florida called Huey Magoo's. Really good chicken tenders. They're amazing. I love it. But I always call it Mr. Magoo's. And my daughter, like, what are you talking? It's not, it's Huey, it's not Mr. They played a Mr. Magoo cartoon. I went, there's Mr. Magoo. Like, that's who I've been talking about right there. Like all the old ones. So
yeah.
Jody and I have been dating ourselves.
A lot of cultural misappropriation. You could not you could not make some of those cartoons anymore. So
yeah. We even discriminate against the Martians in those cartoons.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
People who don't even exist, we're discriminating.
Those are Nephilim. Those aren't alien.
So yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, it was Thanksgiving, and I know you had your whole family in, and I had my whole family in, and we are dating ourselves here a little bit. If you don't know, we have adult children that don't live at home, and so getting them in, I'm sure you had a blast, and you had a first time grandkids been at your place here, right?
Yeah. The last time they were here, he was in utero. So I think that's a Nirvana album as well. But since we're Gen X and out today, but yeah, it was cool. My daughter and my son-in-law and my grandson came down from Indiana, and my other daughter, who's in college up in Indiana, rode down with them, and they brought their 100-pound blonde lab with them, which, by the way, is the brother to my 105-pound silver lab. And so they had a great time playing. Now, what I didn't mention, because she was present in my sermon 2 Sundays ago, was that the week before Thanksgiving, our 15-year-old Schnauzer died. And so our dog was a little lonely because the only puppy dog he's known other than his brother at our house had died. So he was like looking around. He didn't know what to do. And so when his brother was here, we had 200 pounds of lab just roaming around the house, doing what they wanted to do. And I will say that I'm not a prophet, but a prophecy came true when I told my daughter she was pregnant with my grandson at the time, and I said, "You know that you won't love that dog as much once he's born." And she finally confessed to me when they were here Thanksgiving, "Dad, you are right. Like, I love this little human way more than I love that dog." They still love the dog. That's not that they don't love the dog, but
that's funny you said that. We say that about every young couple. I mean, they all have dogs. Joey and I, we had a dog when we were first married too. And
you're supposed to not have kids if you get a dog, right? Like it'll make you wait.
Yeah. And we loved
terrible plan.
We had a chocolate lab, not quite as big as the labs you have, but still big dog. And his name was Hershey, and I love that dog. And we had that dog for
what? Go ahead, keep telling.
Yeah, for like
by you
4 years before. Oh yeah, here we go. 4 years before we got married. But once you have a kid, the dog just goes on the back burner. It's hard to understand that unless you have one. So you bringing the dog in?
By you, come.
I put you on full screen, see if you can get him in there. There.
By you, look, you're on the Cutting Floor podcast. Look over here. Tell everybody hello. By the way, he's still not fully extended. He's taller than this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go back to your bed. Go.
Yeah, and your dog.
Like, oh, that's it.
He loves people, man. And so we came over to your house during Christmas, and both of those really big dogs are there, and they're just so well behaved. Like for you guys to know, Kristen has a backyard, but it's not fenced in, and these dogs just kind of go out and roam around the backyard. They don't. My dog would be like taking off like he was Braveheart, shouting freedom as he ran through the neighborhood.
Let me let people in on two. This is a dog owner secret and a parenting secret. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
If you put a lot of time into training them when they're young, you spend less time dealing with their stuff when they're older.
Yeah,
It's true with a kid. It's true with a dog. So when they were puppies, both of those were living in our house as puppies because Morgan wasn't married when she got the dog. And so we spent a lot of time training them. So that's what you have to do. Now, I will say, training another human, not as easy.
Yeah, I would have to say, and I agree. The dog we have now, I think Logan would have been 15 at the time when we got her. So basically was raised by a teenager, and it shows.
Yeah. Yeah, Bayou sleeps with ours. He's 15, and he fills up his bed now because he's lost his tough.
Yeah.
If you saw him Sunday, he is this height as I am now almost.
So that being said,
which is my daughters are like 4.
Yeah. Like that being said, we had a great Thanksgiving. You had a great Thanksgiving. And, then we came in, we kind of wrapped up Thanksgiving sermon messages this week. But I want to go back to the message that you delivered 2 weeks ago. I was telling Christian when we were before we hit record, because I know a lot more of his story than you guys know because we're friends. I just want to say, dude, like, not in any bad way. I just didn't expect you to be that vulnerable. I really didn't. And I appreciate that. And I know our church does because we kind of live by, you have to be real in this place or you don't fit. And, so, way to go in sharing. I mean, cause that's hard. And even for people to understand, like I knew you before, not as much as I did after the last head injury you had in 2020, but I knew you before. And it's even hard for me to understand the difference because really the only version of Christian I know is the version I know now. But there was another version of you that your brain functioned better. So
yeah. It was interesting. Someone from our church jokingly commented to me something about, I bet you were really cocky when you had your full brain. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. And so, but they did follow it up with, but we love you just like you are. So, so it was a funny thing. It wasn't bad, but there was truth to it. Like, I was good at what I did and I knew it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a problem. And I don't necessarily think that, what happened was like a punishment or I've never viewed it as that at all. But as I said in the message, there was some really great things that came out of the last 5 years. Even though it's been the hardest 5 years of my entire life. Like of 49, almost 50 years on this planet. The last 5 have been the hardest, for me, for my wife, for our family. And it's not just on me. Like, it's not just what happened to me. I shared about our daughter and all of her medical issues. And, again, our oldest daughter gets married, which, again, we love our son-in-law and we're so grateful for them and they're doing great. But that's still kind of a loss in a family, right? It's a gain, sure. But life changes. Like when your kid gets married, things change for you. And so yeah, the last 5 years have just been really, really tough. And so, when we moved here, we've lived in Charlotte, just over a year now, I guess, year and a few months. Yeah. And, when we moved here, it wasn't to get away from, it was just, we knew that we had friends here and we knew that I needed a place. We needed, not just we needed a place to just heal and kind of regroup. Obviously with my business, my consulting business, a bigger pool to swim in, I guess, if you wanted to say it that way, just from a population standpoint, commerce business standpoint. to try to run a business here than in Indiana. And so, yeah, all of those things have just been, and I would like to say that when we moved here, things got better, but they didn't. They actually got worse. Like they've gotten worse. But I do remember, I think I told you this backstage one Sunday. I can't remember when I said it, but I do remember saying to you, I've always known God's grace, but now I know his graciousness. And that one thought was how I've kind of prepared for the message that I shared 2 Sundays, the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So if you didn't see that on our YouTube page, I'd encourage you to go watch it. You can watch the whole series, Brad's, mine, your, from this past Sunday, which I'm sure we'll talk about, which was really, really good. And so, yeah, gratitude is a decision. It's a choice. Yeah. Like I could have, there's one letter difference between bitter and better, and you need to choose wisely. And I wish that I could tell you that every day I was better. I wish that I could tell you that every day I was grateful. I wish that I could say that I've had this unwavering faith that God will provide and that God will take care of everything, but I haven't. Like I really haven't. I've had to struggle with it. I've had to relearn gratitude, reframe it. And so, yeah, for me, that message was just, it was more of a celebration. I know it didn't sound that way. Like it didn't, I'm sure it kind of, it sounded like, man, this dude's been through the ringer. And yeah, maybe to some degree that's true, but it was supposed to be, it meant the heart behind it, the posture behind it was that I've had to relearn gratitude, and I have finally at least taken a step towards this new way of understanding how God works and moves and trusting him differently than I trusted him before. And so I would say the last 5 years have been just the training ground of that.
Yeah. I didn't have a head injury, but I can identify with pieces of your story that, coming from my background, studying to be an engineer at one of the elite engineering schools, like there's things in life.
You can go ahead and say it. Georgia Tech. Go ahead and say you went to Georgia Tech. Yes. I mean, I'm the doctor, but I'm not smart enough to go to Georgia Tech. So,
well, I would say there are things in life that we can get puffed up about. And Paul talks about this. Like, he's like, if anybody has a reason to be arrogant, he had all the credentials, but all of us have something. I mean, be it an education, a job, money, something. And what I had to go through, so I carried that into being a pastor. To be, I mean, you can't separate those things. So you carry them with you. And it served me pretty well when I wasn't in charge. This is my being able to step back and look back at it, because everything that I touched for everyone that I worked for as underneath as a young associate pastor just took off like a rocket ship. And so when we planted, and if you're not familiar with church planting, simple way of saying starting a church from nothing. So we did that, and we did it in Georgia, back close to my hometown and everything else. And we eventually reached a point to where, yeah, okay, this is growing and growing fast. And it was one of the fastest growing new churches in the denomination I was in the state at the time. And so for me, though, that was all kind of expected. And so I can identify what you're talking about, the arrogance. This is where I'm trying to go with the story, not talk about my history. Arrogance. And I didn't have a head injury, but God took it all away. And I don't know if God took it all away. That's not quite fair. It all went away. The success went away. There was some betrayal that was involved in all of that was painful and hard. But what that did, what God, if God didn't cause it, and I'm fine if he did, but even if he didn't, what he created out of that is what I'm seeing in you. There's a new version of you, just like there's a new version of me. And ironically, I came to North Carolina to find that new version.
Apparently, like 170 people a day are moving here trying to find themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, I know exactly. They're just trying to,
Thanks,
whatever
Charlotte.
they're trying. Build us some roads. Build us some roads. But God takes these tragedies, and at the time, there was no way I could have been grateful for it. I mean,
Yeah.
If you would have asked me, probably for the first 5 years of that, without lying, I couldn't have told you that I was grateful for it. Like, because I wasn't. I hated it. I lost everything. When we moved here to North Carolina, very similar story to you. I went from being highly successful and making a lot of money to I worked for a bozo. I shouldn't say that, because I won't say where I was at, but it wasn't in ministry. And I made $15 an hour, and literally as an hourly employee, $15 an hour, being treated far below how I felt I need. I mean, it was a blow to the ego. All of it was. But God used all of it. And
hey,
then
listen, let me tell you about blowing your ego. And I think I told you this. But if I didn't, this may even be new to you. I couldn't get hired by Uber Eats.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah. I got turned down.
You can't deliver food.
Yeah, because I don't own my car.
What?
Yeah.
You had to submit,
again,
like, registration or something?
I didn't share everything, right, in my sermon. People have no idea that we totaled 2 cars since we've lived here.
Yeah.
So, and then I graciously got a vehicle from someone who is super amazing and awesome, and tried to take care of us, and still does. And it basically wouldn't run. Like, it would just leave me stranded. So we got rid of that. And now I borrow a car from you, but, which you may not want people to know that, but it's too late now. You can edit it out. Uh, but, uh, right, like, yeah, it was so. I have a doctorate in human growth and development. I've led multi-million-dollar organizations. I was making well 6-figure money, and I couldn't get a job with Uber Eats. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, I applied for 200. I counted it. Since 2023, I've applied for 222 jobs.
Wow.
0.
Wow.
Only 1 callback. Only 1 callback out of 222. And that's the job that I have now, working for Globe Life.
Like, yeah,
that's crazy.
That's an ego smash, isn't it? Like,
and I'm like, I was highly successful. Like, I was speaking all around the world. I was talking to thousands of people every week. Like, and yeah. And so, am I any less because I don't do any of those things now? Absolutely not. But I had to figure that out. Like, I had to get to the place where, again, God's grace, I understood. I could have been dead, right? Like, that head injury could have killed me. Or, tell you what, worse, it could have like debilitated me to the point where, what if I was a paraplegic, or what if I were, and no offense to people who are, like, I don't know your story. I'm just saying that I can complain about what happened to me, or what has happened since then. But, like, look, like, I have so much. I literally, I sometimes forget that we complain about not having money as we talk on $1,000 phone in our pocket.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I complain I can't buy any Jordans, right? Like, I haven't bought a pair of Jordans in over a year. And honestly, I'm in detox. I'm in DTs. Um, I've actually sold some of my shoe collection so that we could survive. Um, but I have like 150 pair of shoes. And I've been places all around the world where they have no shoes. And so again, I'm not saying that what you struggle with or what you're going through isn't real. I know, I get it. My life has basically sucked for about the last 18 months, period.
That's
but I have
funny
so
you
many
use that word. That is what that company that I work for, that's what I called my job. I'd wake up every morning and said, "Hey, babe, I got to go to the suck this morning." Off to the suck.
What other word? I mean, I know some other words that I could describe.
Yeah, but
not
I mean,
appropriate.
it literally sucked. Not just sucked. Like it sucked everything out of me. There wasn't much of me left when I came home, and so in the truest, I was like, "Yep, gonna go to the suck today for $15 an hour." And by the way, I think we were 38 or 39. I had to move in with my parents. Like that's
well, our decision was
and everything else.
Our decision was when we leave Indiana. Our decision was move back closer to Emily's family in Lake Charles, right? Not necessarily in with them. That would not work. Or move here. Like those were our two choices. And what a lot of people don't know, and I don't mind sharing, like this is, again, I've been vulnerable enough. Like you listened to the Holy Spirit one day and you text me or called me in a moment where I was ready to just give up, like everything. And out of the blue, you said, "Hey, me and some of our mutual friends, we're flying up to see you next week." And I go, "Okay, sure." Like to you, I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Come on, it'll be fine." But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why? Why are they coming to see me? Are they, again, I get suspicious. Like that's my normal reaction is people are not for me, right? Like that's not, which is,
that is
again,
because you've been in ministry your whole life. No one ever wants to meet with you for good reasons.
yeah, no, nobody wants to just say, "Christian, it's good to know you as a human." It's like, but again, like to be grateful for a place to live, to be grateful for to be grateful for friends like I have now, right? Like there's always, and this is why I'm going back to the last podcast, going back to Brad's, talk when he mentioned Philippians 4:8. Like I love that passage. That passage is an anchoring passage in my life. Is that some days I have to find something to be grateful for. It's not just laid out there for me. Like it's not evident. It's not, and that can be for a multitude of reasons, whether it's my own self, whether it's circumstantial, whether it's other people. And that was the point. The point is that gratitude is rebellion. It's a choice. And in a culture of outrage, we've talked about this. Everybody wants to be pissed off about something. I don't know why. Like it's a terrible feeling to be angry. It just doesn't feel good. And the amount of people who just love it, it seems like it just, they would rather be angry than be anything else. So in a culture like that, being grateful, like when's the last time you thanked your barista as you got your coffee? When's the last time you thanked your server? And I'm not talking about tipping them, which by the way, you should always tip. I don't care if the service is horrible. Like tip the person, right? Like that's, you know why it's horrible? They're probably having a very bad day. They probably have bills too that they can't pay. They probably got a kid at home that's sick. They probably, whatever. Anyway, that's a whole nother sermon.
Yeah. If you don't tip them, they're making $2.25 an hour. So
right. When was the last time you were grateful for whatever? Like, listen, I understand. Go to the grocery store right now. Good night. Like, I can buy a gallon of gas cheaper than I can buy a gallon of milk.
Yeah, we said that. We're hosting Thanksgiving. We've got all the kids coming in. And I went and picked up a bunch of stuff. And I had a cart, and it was a pretty full cart. And I get to the end of the checkout, and it's $235. And I literally text Jody. I'm like, when did a 3/4 full cart of groceries become 230. I remember $235. Like, I'm dating myself. Like, that was for the month.
That really wasn't that long ago, honestly. So,
yeah, I'm with
but
you.
again, I can complain about that all day long. I have been around the world. There aren't supermarkets at every corner. Like, if you want water, you walk 10 miles with a jar and you get it. Or you want milk, you better have an animal that you can milk, because that's how you're going to have it. And again, maybe because I've been around the world, it gives me a different perspective, but I'm still a privileged, white, educated, westernized American who has so many blessings, so many, when people around the world don't. And I'm confessing that because at times I act like I'm entitled to something rather than just saying, my goodness. Like, I can sit here and say all day long that I'm upset that I can't buy a house. But I'm sitting here in a nice house, right, that we rent. And is it the house I want or the house that is our dream? No, none of those things. But I'm saying, like,
Yeah, but it's not
why would I
cardboard
be
with a mud
upset?
floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
You know,
it's one of those
I said this, I don't remember when I said it, and it's probably not an original thought, but one of the biggest enemies to gratefulness is awareness. And the problem is, Americans, we're aware of what other people have and what they do. If you were not aware of other homes, let's just use that, then you're loving your home. Like, man, this is amazing. This is awesome. This is great. If you're not aware that someone else makes 5 times more money than you, then you're happy. If you're not aware of that new car, like, awareness. And the more we become aware, the harder it is to be grateful, because envy gets in. Like, it's easy to not envy if you just don't know what other people have.
Yeah.
You know, and my thing is not cut yourself off from the world. It's not. It's just, you need to realize that with awareness, you have to work at gratitude. It's just not going to come, because
Absolutely.
you're battling what you're aware of. And you have, why don't we just lead to this? You said you've developed a framework for gratitude. Do you want to run through that?
Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier. I'm a framework guy. I know that word's a little overused, but framing something gives you like practical ways to look at something or to engage in something. And so I'm just kind of a framework guy. And the framework that I've been working at, that I was telling you this before we went on, I'm a word guy. So I think words are very powerful. Words have lots of meaning. And so I wanted to understand that statement I made. I knew God's grace, but now I understand his graciousness. And so I began to look at these root words, and the root word of grace, graciousness, gracious, the root word of gratitude, root word for the Eucharist or communion. It's all the same root word. It's the Greek word charis. And when I began to understand that, I was like, okay, so what does that look like? And so, in true professional speaker form, I came up with an acronym. Don't we just all love acronyms?
I love that you're going to do this, and I almost feel like we need to thank Rick Warren for
Yes,
for
thank you,
bringing
Rick.
this
Thank you,
to
Rick.
us. Yeah.
We appreciate you. You normalized it in Christian subculture. So yeah, so grace, right? Grace, G.R.A.C.E, and the G is basically just get honest with God. Just be honest with him. We are so, like, we sugarcoat and try to romanticize God in so many ways. Like, we forget that God gave us a whole book of complaining. It's called Lamentations. Like he knows the Proverbs, the Psalms. Read some of those. Those people they are literally just complaining to God. And so I think just being honest, God, this is the way I feel. I mean, he already knows. It's not. Again, we deceive ourselves thinking God's unaware of something. He knows what's going on. But there is something in it. There's something about the human soul and spirit that when we say it to him, God, I am angry. God, I am hurt. God, I don't trust you right now. There's something freeing about that. So the G is basically just get honest with God. The R is remember God's posture. That should lead you to this, is that God's not unaware. God's not angry with you. God's not upset that you're upset with him. He has very thick skin, right? Like skin. He has very thick skin. He is very secure in who he is. And so he can take our complaining. And so when you get honest with him, you remember who he is, his character, that he is gracious, he is kind, he is loving. And so then you get to the A, G.R.A.C.E. So the A is just to acknowledge the small stuff, right? Like I have a store to go to. Milk's expensive, yeah, but I have a store to go to. Or yeah, I got this diagnosis, but for now I'm still alive. Or I had this happen to me, but now I have this opportunity to help others in those scenarios. And again, not minimizing the suffering or the crises or whatever that people are going through. It's just in the midst of that, you've got to be able to acknowledge some very small stuff, right? You just got to find Philippians 4:8, whatever's good, whatever's lovely, let your mind dwell on those things. So then there's the C, which is choose an anchor. Like, what are you going to anchor yourself in? Am I going to anchor myself in my circumstances? Am I going to anchor myself in my feelings that are so fickle? Am I going to anchor myself in, whatever? Or am I going to anchor myself in, God and who he's proven to be and who he says that I am, his professed identity that I carry. And then the E is just extend that same to others, because you're going to encounter people who are not gracious or who are not grateful. And so you've got to understand, maybe they don't know, maybe they don't have a relationship with Jesus that, helps them. Maybe they don't have 3 a.m. friends, maybe whatever. And so just extending that grace to other people is important. So that framework that I just kind of, again, I developed this for me. Like this is me. This is that grace leading to God's graciousness was simply the way that I've dealt with the last 5 years. Like this just been the journey.
Yeah,
and so
I love
there's
how
more to that.
Yeah, I get it. I love how, honestly, you're focused on the little things, because it's easy to get lost, because I mean, how many times do big things actually work out the way they're supposed to in our head? And so if we're going to anchor our gratefulness, our thankfulness, on something big happening, it's just not going to happen. It's funny, in this full frame, I'm sitting here looking, and I've got Christmas sitting on the couch, and then my Falcons pillow over there. I got a lot of people anchoring, like, their gratefulness, thankfulness, joy, whatever, in the football season. Man, if I did that with the Falcons, I'd never be happy.
Yeah, we're in the post-Saban era, so I'm getting ready for disappointment. But
I mean, you own Georgia, so you should be able to win this weekend.
We'll see.
But
yeah, I always say football is a great sport. It's a terrible God.
That's a great way to put it. But it's those little things. And honestly, guys, this is it's a good segue into what I talked about on Sunday, because and if you didn't watch that message, here's the short of it. You can go to YouTube and watch it. I asked people to make a list. And the list is really simple. 10 attributes of God that you notice is something that you need now. And we're not looking for like the theological attribute. And I said that in the message. Look, not all the things that you know from scripture or the things that you're supposed to think or want about God, like none of that stuff. And just make yourself a list. And so I had shared, because I do have this list. Let's see if I can put it where you can. It's on my, kind of hard with the thing, but right on my lock screen is the list I made for myself. And I remind myself, and I think here, let me see if I can do this. If I pull up, yeah, there we go. So this is the slide that I put up. These are just some things that they're not theological statements. I mean, some of these are, but just things about God, who God is. He's steady. I'm not going to go through every one of these guys, so don't worry. But like when I wrote down steady, what I mean by that is he just doesn't change. He's always moving towards a goal. And God has goals bigger than you as an individual human. God has goals that are for our environment, the planet, the universe, the entire seen and unseen world. But he is always moving towards the kingdom of God. Whatever is the kingdom of God, Jesus said, the will of the Father, the kingdom of God, that it be done on earth that it is in heaven. Like, it's always moving towards that. You can always count on that, which is why I am not in the camp of the world is getting worse and worse and worse. I'm just not. Because I don't think you can be a Christian calling down the kingdom of heaven to earth and then at the same time say it's getting worse. Because the kingdom of earth coming, to like the kingdom of heaven coming to earth is better. It's just better. It may not be better in your little world, in your little place, but it's better. So you just can't convince me. But God is steady, patient, kind, strong. These are all like you were talking about, Christian. Those are all little things. God sees me. I mean, okay, I can be grateful for that. I really can. Like God knows what's going on in my life right now. And to your point, Lamentations, you can read that. That's just someone bitching about their whole life and how bad it is. Well, it's not like God goes, huh, man, I had no idea that it was that bad.
Right. Exactly. Like I said, there's no emergency session happening in heaven where God's like, well, I didn't see that coming.
Exactly. I loved how you said that. Like you take your life right now, because you have shared it. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. God, any moment when you want to talk about what's going on in your life, he's not out there going, wow, Christian, I just had no idea it was that bad for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, that leads to other theological tensions, right?
It can.
One of the things that
it can, but it's a misunderstanding of what is good.
Right.
If you give me a moment, something can be hard and there can be some difficulties that are in it. It can still be good. Because for me or you to have to go through some bad things that make a lot of bad thoughts happen in my mind, that make whatever you want to cause as bad, can actually be good. Mm-hmm. And I can say that because I'm so many years removed from basically a church failure. Everything I started, I had to merge with another church. You can just call that a failure. And I can look back on that and go, wow, that actually was good. It actually was good. Now, it doesn't mean that what happened to me was good, but it was good. And so I think that's why you need to distinguish. Hey, guys, you need to understand, bad things can happen and it's still good. Mm-hmm. It's still good. And that's part of gratitude, is like, God, I don't know how you're going to work this out. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm sitting listening to your story here, and my brain immediately wants to go to a point in time where you're standing on a stage telling people that you could not get a job for Uber Eats, and literally thousands of people are going, what? Who would not hire this guy? That's that. And then you look back and you go, no, guys, that actually was a good thing. Like this is what it did inside of me. So yeah, I think people need to be really careful about every time something is bad, thinking it's not good.
Right. Oh yeah, and I think for me, I'm not gonna speak theoretically. I'm just gonna be, again, vulnerable and honest. I think for me, I had not only to get over myself, I had to get over myself in a lot of ways, but I also had to come to this place where I was like, wait a minute, who I am, my identity cannot be caught up in success. My identity cannot be what a title is, or I mean, I even, and by the way, I am not on the other side of this talking about it. I am still in the midst of it. Like I am still right now in the midst of all of it. And, you know, someone may say, well, Christian, well, what are you going to do? I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, I'm just going to keep plugging away. I'm like, keep doing the things that I can. I'm gonna control the things that I can control. Right. Like, I'm going to keep trying to build my business. Right. I'm going to keep speaking at next level. I'm going to keep, pursuing whatever God puts in front of me as whether it's work or it's, job, like a job or whatever. And I'm just going to try to be faithful like that. That's all I know to do. That's when there's a passage when, Jesus says some really tough things about what it means to follow after him. And a bunch of people leave because they kind of went from, well, he's handing us bread and fish freely to we're going to suffer and die. And so a bunch of people leave. And Jesus looks up at his disciples, the knuckleheads, and goes, so are you guys leaving too? And Peter goes, which, Peter's always the spokesman of the group. He's got foot and mouth disease. Peter goes, well, where else would we go? Like you're the only one who has the words of life. And that's where I'm at. Like, where else can I go? Like, I can't go anywhere else. I can't make somebody hire me. I can't make money appear in my checking account. I can't, but what I can do is just trust that God's got it and just keep doing the things that I can do. Keep controlling the controllables that I have. And then this is the part that is so crazy to me when it comes to this whole issue of gratitude and circumstantialism, is that at some point there has to be a surrender. At some point you just surrender. You just go, all right, fine. Now again, surrender doesn't mean you don't do something. Surrender doesn't mean you sit around and in Cajun world, it's called boudin, right? Like in Southwest Louisiana, if you're a whining or complaining, they're like, stop boudin. So you can sit around and boudin all you want. Which, by the way, boudet and boudin, totally different things. One is very
boudin is
celebratory.
a beautiful gift.
One is very celebratory, right? Like, one is not. But anyway, and so, and I loved your message this past Sunday when you like, one of the things that we try to do at Next Level, which is one of the many things I love about Next Level, is that we're not trying to wow you with how much we know on a Sunday. We're just trying to give you some practical things that we're discovering through our relationship with Jesus and one another that he continues to show us. And I love the fact that you're like, just do 10, find 10 things. Just write down 10 things and remind yourself of them. Put them on a sticky note, put them on your phone, put them on wherever you're going to see them every day. And I did the same thing. Like if you look, hold on, I got all kinds of missed calls and texts, but if you look, like, you can't hardly see, but there we go.
There you go. I got it. Yeah.
Like those are not necessarily things about God's character, though I have some of those in there. That's about my relationship to him and my relationship to his character, which is for me the reminder of gratitude. My gratitude is anchored not in my circumstances, but in the character of who God is. And I would love to say because this is one of my favorite things to say, because I do believe this to some degree. I even have it tattooed. Like,
no, we're off camera. You gotta bring it. Yeah, there you go.
Right there, right? My fork with my Philippian. So I love to say the best is yet to come. Honestly, I don't know if the best is yet to come. It may not get better. This may be it, right?
Hey, this is a good opportunity. I know that your dad sometimes can be a mixed bag with you, but that whole fork thing, with that phrase, say just a quick second about that, because that really does mean something.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, my family, we'd have Thanksgiving, right? You go to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, you go to the other grandma's house for Thanksgiving. And I remember, if my dad wasn't fishing, which normally he would be fishing, but if he wasn't fishing, he was going to the family gathering. He always had a fork in his pocket. And like, from our house, he would put a fork in his pocket, and then we would go to these places. And, as a kid growing up, I was like, that's just what my dad does, whatever. But I think I was 12 or 13, somewhere in there. I finally, my inquisitive nature kicked in, and I was just like, why do you take they have forks there? Like, it's not like they're going to, he goes, yeah, but I want to have a fork ready. What if they put a new pie out? I want to be the first one to try it. You never know. Well, then I just thought about that for a long time. Well, then I was, later on, this is later in life. This is actually after my dad passed away. I read this story about this other person who had a fork. And like, it was a story about when they died, like when they buried them, they had a fork in their hand. And the whole story was that, that person's dead. They're with Jesus now. So, the best is yet to come, the resurrection. And I kind of put those two stories together in my mind. Like, oh, like, I want to be ready when the next thing comes out. Like, I want to be ready when Jesus does something new. And so, so that's kind of my Thanksgiving story with my fork. And Philippians 1:6, if you don't know what it says, he who began a good work in you will see it to completion. And so I have to keep reminding myself, I am not yet everything I'm going to be in Christ. I am not yet completely Christo-formed. So the best, in that regard, the best is yet to come. I will live my best life after this one. Like, there's no doubt about that. When I'm living in perfection, I don't worry about anything. I don't ever get sick again. My brain will be whole again, or not, depending theologically on how you view the afterlife. People forget Jesus still had holes in his hands, right? So there's some recognizable things about this life that are in the next. That's a whole other eschatology talk. But yeah, the best is yet to come. And is that true? Yes. Is it practically true? Maybe.
Yeah,
I may never own a house again. I'm almost 50 years old. You know what a 30-year mortgage would do? That's 80. I don't plan to be working at 80. I'm not even sure I'm going to live to 80 with my brain. But the point is, what if I never own a house again? What if I rent the rest of my life? What if I never own a car again? Which you're probably like, no, I need my car back at some point. So,
it's all good.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, what if it does? What if I don't get the job? What if I never replace my retirement that we had to burn through to survive? What if I, like, there's so many things that I don't know if it's going to be better. But this I do know. I am grateful that I know God. I'm grateful for my wife, which, by the way, we don't think about the fact that when you're married, especially, like, the way that you view gratitude and approach gratitude certainly affects your family. Like, it affects your interpersonal relationships. It affects how you're a husband or a wife. It affects how you're a father or a mother. It affects how you're a sibling or a cousin. It affects all of your relationships in life. And so, to be grateful for the things that are so true, which is God has never left my side. Grace says to me that God can rescue me. Graciousness tells me that even if he doesn't, he's going to be sitting right beside me.
Yeah, that he's with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
when we were just life at its worst, much like what you described, both Joey and I I think we read a book or something that kind of encouraged, it wasn't an original thought, but it was very helpful. We just went through, and this is before you could do it with ChatGPT, which you could do it easy now.
Yeah.
We did a study on all of the suddenlies that occur in Scripture and all the words that are close to suddenly. And I think what that did for me is God could change my circumstances suddenly. And sometimes when I look back, suddenly was over the course of 3 months. And it just appears that suddenly something changed. Like, God, so what I would say, if you're kind of down and it's just not a good season for you, do what we did. And you could do it easy with ChatGPT now. Just, hey, where are all the verses where the word suddenly or a word similar to suddenly is mentioned in the Bible, and just read them. And you don't need to do anything fancy. All we did, I didn't parse out the Greek or the Hebrew. We just read it and said, Holy Spirit, as we're reading through these, if there's something you want to say into my spirit as I'm reading these, then do that. That's all you got to do. I mean, it's that simple. But let the Holy Spirit be your teacher, be your guide. And maybe you need that, because, yeah, God can do things and it will feel suddenly. And maybe he's been working it out for the last 6 years, but there'll be a moment. I was thinking,
well, it's like when people talk about someone becoming a star overnight, like these singers, that all of a sudden you'll know who they are. Well, they forget that they've been playing an instrument their whole life, or they've been working, they've been sitting at bars with tip jars, for 10, 15 years. They don't think about how many times a record company rejected them. They just know all of their overnight sensations. No,
like,
there
wow,
is
how
no
did you just
overnight
suddenly
sensation.
become successful?
Right. That's not the way can God do it? Absolutely. He can make anything happen, blink of an eye. But that's usually not how he works. Like that, just look historically. He
because
usually lets
back
things.
to a statement that I said previously, struggling is actually good. And I think as humans, we are made to struggle. And when we hear that word struggle, we think bad. Like I think we're made to struggle. So when the kingdom of heaven, when Jesus says, pray that the kingdom of heaven be, God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven, that process is a struggle. And we are made for that. Our finest moments as humans come through struggle. You think about all the stories that make you cry, all the stories that move you emotionally, it's because a human is facing and fighting against a struggle. And
look,
that's
Forrest Gump.
who we are.
Forrest Gump does not own Apple or go to the moon or any of those things if he don't have the braces on his legs when he's a kid.
Right. Yeah. And
right.
I mean, it's a movie that moves you. Well, why does that movie move you?
Which, by the way,
because he struggles through it.
I'm just talking about Forrest Gump. What a great movie, right? Like, but
fantastic movie.
Think of Jesus. He's living with the Father, with the Spirit, perfectly. Everything's great, right? And he decides to make something. They decide we're going to make creatures, and these creatures, by the way, can betray us. Like, we need to know that. So there's not only that, but then he leaves heaven, comes to earth to, basically a poor family. He didn't come into a rich family. Then his dad dies sometime when he's a teenager, right? Like, we don't know the full story. We see him at 12 when Jesus is at the temple, and then we don't hear from Joseph again, right? Like, now historians tell us that he got killed. He was a tecton, which some people say carpenter, but that actually means stone hewer. So it was stone, not wood. He got killed building Herod's palace. Is historically what happened. So Jesus is the oldest kid. His earthly dad dies when he's a teenager, which means he's responsible for his mom and his siblings. Then Jesus, is misunderstood. He leaves home. He leaves everything that he had, which was not much, to literally have nothing. He lives his life with people always talking about him, whether good or bad. And then look at his death, like how horrible it was. It's the worst kind of death anybody could die. This was humiliation. The Romans
Yeah, I was like, not just
perfected
painful,
humiliation.
humiliating, shameful, everything else.
Right. And by the way, that's who we're supposed to be getting formed into, according to Paul. That God's will for our life is to be conformed to the image of his son. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to die on a cross, so not having a house or a car that belongs to me is probably not a bad deal.
Yeah, but here again, how do we get there? It's struggle. And so if you're struggling, I don't know, it's hard to see it this way. It's actually good. And you were made for this. God made you for this, but you are not made to struggle alone. Be clear.
Right. There you go.
The in our weakness he is made strong, scripture says. Well, how does that happen? In struggle. God's like, hey, you're gonna struggle, but I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's
exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys,
so grace. That's the framework. Grace,
gratefulness. We're wrapping that up, or we did wrap that up, and now we're moving into the Christmas season, and so we're gonna talk about this idea of a promise, and actually, this week is a little bit of a nod back to our unseen realm, into a little blurry creature. I am, first time ever, I am going to tell the beginning of the Christmas story from Genesis chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And basically where the promise starts.
Right.
And guys, we're going to talk a little bit about Adam and Eve and what was that serpent snake thing? Why was it in the garden? Like, we're going to get into a little bit of that, but then honestly, the bulk of the message is around a promise. And
by the way, is that not the greatest scene in all of movie, in the Passion of the Christ, when Jesus gets up and stomps on that snake? It's like,
right. Yeah.
Which, by the way, Genesis 3 is where my loathe and disdain for serpents began. Like, don't kill it. It's a good snake. Nah, read Genesis 3. There's no good snakes.
Well, and here's the thing. It's probably not a snake, guys. More than likely.
It was not. It was not a snake.
It is something that we would call a dragon. Yeah. Because it had legs, because the very first thing God does is curse him and strip him of his legs, and then he had to crawl on his belly. So more than likely, the creature they're talking to is a big, beautiful, scary, dragon-esque kind of creature that talks. And we can, the Bible is not a thing where all animals talk, but even in our own lore, even in our own mythology, dragons talk. Where are we getting that from?
Yeah. I'm always amazed at how we justify theological things. Like, well, snakes are incapable of talking, so it must have been telepathy. And I'm like, what? What in the Sam Hill are you trying to prove? Like, number one,
what if it was a dragon? And what if dragons really can talk?
Well, yeah, and what if they can? Right? Like, it's okay, but it's a scaly Elohim, but that's for a whole nother podcast. So
exactly. So I am gonna relate that to Christmas. It's not gonna trust me, guys, it's not gonna be like the whole thing. We're going back to blurry.
Gonna get weird.
But
two dragons.
Yeah, there is. And
another movie quote. Y'all look that one up.
But it's, we're going to talk about exactly the statement that you said, where God says, look, you're going to strike his heel and he's going to crush your head. That is a bit of a preview that you are going to be able to make the one suffer. Mm-hmm. You are going to bring harm, but he's going to crush you.
Yep. And it's our story too, right? Everything we've talked about.
Absolutely.
In this life, you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world.
Yeah, it's perfect. So, guys, be here this Sunday. Worship together. We're going to have, it's a fantastic time to kick off Christmas. Even Christian, it's past Thanksgiving now, so he will be holly jolly.
Yes, I might even wear an ugly Christmas something.
Yeah, we do. We have Christmas sweater Sunday, ugly
not
or
ugly,
not.
Though. Yeah, some people think their sweaters are not ugly, but they're ugly sweaters. So
Yeah, I think Jody's going to wear her Green Bay Packer one, and for some that will be an ugly sweater.
Listen, I have a particular Christmas outfit that I could break out. So just be on the lookout for that.
Does it look like sweatpants? Is it like a green workout outfit or something?
Well, let's just say that it is called a South Philly tuxedo.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. All right.
South Philly. If Austin hears this podcast, it is a South Philly tuxedo.
There we go. That's hilarious. Yeah, so that's coming up, guys. We're just going to enjoy the season, and we look forward to hanging out with you, and look forward to seeing you back on the podcast, and we'll get back together next week. So thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you at this Christmas. Thanks for being here, Christian. Later, man.
Absolutely. Love it. See you.
All right, dude. We'll see you. Out.